Welcome brothers and sisters, what's happening? I'm very your way, inshallah. So after nearly 10 years I get to meet Tox in person, alhamdulillah. What are we doing today, Tox?
We are basically doing a mad 24-hour mission. This is actually like one of those YouTuber vlogs. We're actually vlogging it. 24 hours from Damascus to Homs, to the Khalid bin Walid Masjid. We're doing all the landmarks. Then Hama city to see the famous water wheels. Then Aleppo castle. Then to the north, Azaz, because we've got a conference at 10 PM. And then we're going to try to get back to Damascus for 6 AM Fajr.
You can do it, subject to no issues.
Inshallah, we can definitely make it happen. If anyone can make it happen, we can make it happen.
So I'll be keeping you updated throughout the day. Stay tuned. Assalamu alaikum. How long do you think it's going to take?
Take about an hour 45, 2 hours.
Inshallah we'll get there for Dhuhr.
Inshallah, the goal is to get there for Dhuhr, inshallah. Yeah, inshallah.
Alhamdulillah, we've arrived in the beautiful city of Homs. Homs, the heartbeat, the soul, the nucleus of the Syrian revolution. And it was the only city in the whole of Syria that was entirely liberated by the Syrian rebels. And it was the only city that was then besieged by the regime. And if you turn around now, you can see how the buildings have been entirely decimated and damaged. SubhanAllah. So in other parts of Syria, you'll see that the regime took certain parts of cities. Homs was entirely liberated to begin with, and then it was then besieged, the entire city. It was pounded until the rebels were forced to leave. But Homs is also very special from an Islamic perspective. Why? Because it is the burial place of the great Sahabi Khalid ibn Walid radiyallahu an, Saifullah, the greatest military commander in history. And this is his masjid. And we're going to go inside inshallah ta'ala and see where he's buried, do some ziyarah there. So this is the burial place of the great Sahabi Khalid ibn Walid radiyallahu anhu. There's so many stories to talk about Khalid, but let me just say a few things. Number one, he was instrumental in the defeat of the Muslims in Uhud, where he came and basically winged and attacked the Muslims from behind when the Prophet ﷺ told the Sahaba, do not move from this point. And then years later, he became the greatest general in Islamic history and human history. He's buried here right now. There's so many stories I can tell you about Khalid. Come. And it comes as no surprise that the city where Khalid ibn Walid is buried, that it was the city which was fully liberated initially. It feels quite surreal. I ain't gonna lie to you. If you'd have said to me 3 weeks ago that, Dilly, you're gonna be in Homs, at Khalid ibn Walid Masjid, I would have thought you were crazy. I thought you were bonkers. But alhamdulillah, here we are. Alhamdulillah, here we are. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us amongst his ummah men like Khalid ibn Walid who will achieve the same as him, if not greater things, because we're in need of it. And what better place than Bilad al-Sham. So the Muadhin and the Imam have allowed us to go right up to the dome of Khalid ibn Walid's Masjid. So we're going right up to the dome.
Now you see the destroyed hill. Allah
You get it from here. Get this one good spot. Alright?
Syria, bro.
Alhamdulillah, we've reached Hama, and there's some history about Hama with regards to the Syrian revolution as well as the period in Hafiz al-Assad, Bashar al-Kalb's father. In 1982, Hafiz al-Assad began a 27-day offensive in Hama city. The pretext and the justification was that he was going to fight and eliminate the terrorists, Ikhwan al-Muslimin. But what ended up happening was there was a 27-day siege. 40,000 people were killed, and that's a conservative estimate. 40,000 people, most of whom, if not all of them, were civilians. So when Hama fell this time round in the 12-day offensive, it was historic. So not once in the 13 years did Hama fall was liberated by the Mujahideen. But alhamdulillah, in the 12-day offensive, Hama fell, and it was a historic moment because it was seen as retribution and vengeance and victory from 1982. Right there is the Nuruddin Zinki Masjid. Now, for those of you who don't know who Nuruddin Zenki rahimahullah is, we all know the story about Salahuddin al-Ayyubi, the liberator of Al-Aqsa and Al-Quds. This was his uncle. And a bit of history. He was a man from Mosul in Iraq, and he sent, as well as Imaduddin, he sent Salahuddin on a specific mission, and that was to go and be a part of the Fatimid Ismaili Caliphate. And he essentially infiltrated the Fatimid state, Salahuddin al-Ayyubi, kind of dismembered it from internally, and then alhamdulillah the pathway to Al-Aqsa began. So we talk a lot about Salahuddin al-Ayyubi, we don't talk much about Nuruddin Zenki. And this is his masjid, even though he's actually buried in Damascus, right, Tox?
I think he's buried in Damascus.
Yeah.
He's buried, his grave's in Damascus.
And these are the famous water wheels of Hama. They usually turn around, but obviously there's been 13 years of war. Inshallah ta'ala, the transitional government can inject some money to renovation. I'm sure in summer, when there's no war, it looks beautiful and clean. But it looks beautiful as it is now, to be honest. It looks like a European river, huh, Salami? Like Netherlands, huh?
Yeah, like
Why did you attack Netherlands for?
I just love Netherlands.
Oh, okay.
Just watch it on TV.
So yeah, Nuruddin
Yeah.
Zenki Mosque, historic water wheels, Hama 1982 massacre, the only city that did not fall during the 13 years until very recently in the recent offensive of Allahu Akbar. The brother who's filming is a beautiful young brother called Salame. He'll appear later on when I'm holding the camera. May Allah bless him and preserve him. And his English is better than mine.
No. You're English, man. I'm Syrian.
Yeah, you got the accent.
I just got it. It just happened. I don't know how it came. مرحبا. كيفك؟
الحمد لله.
أنت مبسوط? What do you think about the old vibe in Hama? and
The
this
old
stuff?
vibe is, so I always, whenever I go to the Muslim world, whenever I've been travelled to the Arab countries, I always prefer the old cities, the old Medina.
Yeah.
Because it's the one with character, and it's actually the places where the most Islamic communities are.
Yeah.
That's what I feel anyway. So even when I went to Fez, the old Medina in Fez, the old Medina in Cairo, the old Medinas in most cities, and obviously Syria the most because of its rich history, it's always the best part. I feel that anyway. Because we see enough of modernity.
Yeah, I do.
We see enough big buildings and stuff.
Big buildings,
Yeah,
yeah.
this is beautiful. This is history.
This is beautiful. Sham. This is Sham, bro. Sham is a beautiful. Sham is big history.
It is where all the Anbiya came,
Yeah.
where all the angels came. They prayed here. And this is where the end of times it will play a key role.
This is why it's blessed.
So look, we were there. We've done that much. Looking at it, we're less than an hour away.
Brothers and sisters, we have just reached Aleppo city. And we've kind of worked backwards because when Operation Deterring Aggression began, it began with the fall of Aleppo city. So we've gone from Damascus, Homs, Hama to Aleppo. When the 12-day offensive actually worked the other way around. Aleppo fell, alhamdulillah, Hama fell, then Homs, and the Damascus fell, alhamdulillah. But let me tell you something about this citadel and this castle right behind me. Historic. From here, Quds was liberated. So many conquests, so many jihad campaigns were organized from this very location here. This is a historic place, it is a strategic place, one of the highest points of the city. Like most citadels, it's strategically located, the highest point of the city. And this is one of the very first major citadels in the Levant that was made by the Muslims. And it was actually expanded further with what was already created by the Byzantines and the Romans before. Alhamdulillah. If you turn around and look at the people are just vibing. People are like, Cox, a few words. Tell us a bit about the siege of Aleppo in 2016.
So most of the east, northeast began to belong to the rebels. The richer areas, the west, Halab Jadid, the center point, the castle, they were all with the regime. So the west going south, because they had obviously the road going all the way to Hama and Homs, etc.
Would you say the siege of Aleppo, and when it fell to the regime, was one of the saddest days of the revolution.
Yeah, it was one. Obviously, there was a lot of sieges, but losing Aleppo, because we had like 65% of Aleppo. Like they only literally had the richer areas, that's it. Where all the Sha'bi areas, they call them, the areas where, you know, the normal middle class, low class, poor people live, they were the free. So they were getting bombed and smashed, and people stayed there for a long, long time. So to last all that time and then have to give it up in the end was difficult.
So Tox was just explaining that whilst we're all rejoicing at the beautiful citadel, the reality was that the regime during the occupation was actually bombing this side of Aleppo. So that's the eastern side, yeah?
That's the eastern side. That side, if you look at the buildings there, this is all with us. That side was not with us. To see the side and all throughout, we never had it. You could see them up the top, because that's why you see the bullets there shooting. There was like regime soldiers up there.
Brothers and sisters, I hope you all enjoyed this short film about the Islamic history of Syria and what the Syrian revolution meant, not just the Syrian people but the Muslim Ummah. And we pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that revival from the Ummah starts here, inshallah ta'ala. Jazakumullah khairan. Explain what's happening.
Well, like, can you see that? So here now, we can't go into the north of Aleppo because there's a sniper up ahead.
What snipers?
They're Kurdish snipers. So there's two neighborhoods now in the north of Aleppo that are still they're besieged, but there's Kurdish PKK fighters and they're not leaving, and that hasn't been resolved yet. So any families, there's been 4 families that have come through here that were killed recently by accident going straight. And obviously they're just, anything that's coming towards them, they're shooting.
And just got snipers entrenched, yeah?
Snipers entrenched, yeah. So any lights they see, that's why we have to take a half-an-hour detour now. You're gonna see.
Quickly touch the detour on the map.
The detour is here, Kafar Hamra. So you're gonna see, look, can you see this barricade here now?
Yeah.
Look at this barricade in front of us. See that there? It's closed. That road was supposed to take us straight to Aleppo.
Or if you're smashed, I'm smashed, and I'm not going to sleep because I'm going to eat full, so.
Now, Damascus is bare confusing in the night.
But we're in Damascus.
We are in the city.
We're not far. We're
not far.
33 minutes.
33 minutes to get to the hotel, which I think we should do the next.
We're driving into the Sheraton Hotel at 5:32, whereby we left around 6. We've done 412 kilometers times 2, so that's about 850, possibly more. Alhamdulillah.
Here we are. Here we are.